Welcome to Pervy Recaps. Today we are exploring a 2016 anime, Grimgar Ashes and Illusions. Monadu, Chihara Ranta and Measure, shown struggling to defeat a goblin in a deep forest of Grimgar, early the next morning. As they eat breakfast together, they discuss their next plan of action. But they realize that they have no idea where they came from originally. They remember awakening inside a strange tower 2 weeks ago during nightfall, and they formed their own group, called Team Minato. Brittany, the commanding officer of Red Moon, registers Team Minato as trainee volunteer soldiers in order for them to survive and earn money for their needs in the town of Ortana. They must sell their collected horns and claws from their haunted goblins, while the others attend their respective guilds for training purposes. Horror Hero is mentored by Barbara, master of the Thieves Guild, for 1 week later when Rented inadvertently comments about Chiru's figure aims her bow and arrow at random while consoling Shura on the 13th day. Team Minato spots for goblins camping nearby in the forest. However, Horror Hero notes that if today does not work out, there is always tomorrow. While the rest of the group is sleeping, Horror Hero and Minato have a drink of freshly made ale. The two share their interest of possibly going to the local Shelley's Tavern together, describe their training experiences with their guild mentors, and take notice of a red crescent moon in the sky. The next day, Team Minato goes in for an attack on a goblin in the forest without a set strategy as Magoo so seemingly deals the death blow on the goblin. Ranta collects some black wolf fang and a silver coin hung around the goblin's neck. Although the goblin quickly tries to escape, Ranta repeatedly stabs the goblin to death in regret. After the group trades in the collection for 130 copper coins, they go their separate ways for leisure. Until the end of the day they reunite in a bridge to watch the sunset together. At night, Horror Hero and Minato tried to prevent Ranter from peeking in the girls' bathhouse, but to no avail. Early in the morning, Horaharo notices that Maguso has a strong passion for cooking, which started before he ended up in Grimberg. Rant refuses to apologize for supposedly wrecking the wall of the girls' bathhouse. And slaps him for lying. Team and Otto spends the next few days in the rain, failing to hunt goblins. They are forced to wear the same clothes every day, washing their laundry each night before bedtime. The next day, Team Minato enters the ruins of Demi Row in a building and kills a sleeping goblin, hauling in 4 silver coins as the reward. After Team Minato explores Demuro and kills more goblins as a unit, they are able to use their earnings to buy more weapons, clothes, and food at night in their bedrooms. Human Courage is Shiro to talk to the guys despite her shyness, while Horror Hero is grateful for Minato being the group leader and his friend. Before bedtime, Horror Hero notes the 23rd day in Grimgar. Early the next morning, Monono encourages Shiro to feed the doves. He catches her after she loses her balance when a dove gets too close to her team and Otto returns. Today, Miroda hunt 3 more goblins using new skills they have learned in their respective guild training sessions. As Team Minato stops to take a break, Monadu mentions how will they fight as a team. As they resume their hunt, they encounter goblins much too powerful for them to defeat. In the process of retreating, Monadu takes an arrow to the back by a goblin and soon collapses, having exhausted his healing powers earlier. The rest of the group rushes to Ortana with Minato in order to see Honen, master of the priests, killed. Honen tells them the devastating news that Minato has died and cannot be brought back to life. He suggests that Minato deserves a proper funeral of cremation. The rest of the group weeps for the loss of their friend as the ashes are carried in the wind. Horror Hero says that the burial cost 1 silver coin, which is 50 copper coins for the cremation and 50 copper coins for the grave. The group is despondent after Minato's death and funeral. Horror Hero, Ranta and Magoo so go to Shelley's Tavern, where a carefree man named Kikawa informs them that the priest of a group is highly targeted and therefore must be protected with Nicholas' help. Horror Hero, now as group leader, recruits Mary as part of Team Horror Hero. As they return to Demi Row to fight goblins, the rest of the group realizes that Mary is a sullen, taciturn person who does not cooperate well with them. As the guys return to Shelley's Tavern to come up with possible solutions, a volunteer soldier named Renji offers Horror Hero a gold coin worth 100 silver coins as a gift for the loss of Minato. However, Haruhiro selflessly declines the offer at night outside the girl's bathhouse. Cries with Haruhiro saying that they were a real party when Monadu was the group leader. After Haruhiro apologizes Tama for not consulting with the girl's first Haruhiro and Hume cuddle, but Shihu has a slightly different perspective from the bathhouse window. Shihu apologizes for assuming that Haruhiro and you were in a relationship, which brings up unnecessary jealousy in Ran to Hume and Shiro convince Haruhiro, Ranter and Migu. So to make Mary feel more welcome, despite the circumstances, Ro Team Haruhiro efficiently kills 3 goblins. Mary heals Migu's head wound, but she disregards Rant as arm bruise. Also, Mary rebuffs Haruhiro from attempting to have her open up at Shelley's tavern. The rest of the group witnesses Mary talking to Shinohara, leader of Team Orion. At night, Haruhiro has a vision of Minato telling him not to doubt himself as the group leader the next day in Demuro. Haruhiro realizes that Migu so needs to buy a helmet, and Mary used her staff to protect Shiro from an attack. Afterwards, Mary politely declines Haruhiro's request to join the rest of the group for a meal at night in Shelley's tavern. Hayashi, a member of Team Orion, explains Mary's cold demeanor. Mary happily healed every minor scrape that her former party had suffered. Just like Minato, however, as her party faced a giant kobold in the Siren Mine. Her magic depleted too soon and 3 members died. Pei as she concludes by saying that he brought Mary out of the Siren Mine alive as she stayed with Team Orion. Mary had trouble staying with the party due to her traumatic past. Having learned of what Mary has gone through, Haruhiro and Shihuru believed that the group should continue working on befriending Mary. Although Ranta is unsure if it is still possible, the next day during a downpour, Haruhiro and Young failed to sneak up on a goblin after they almost blow their cover in the bushes. Soon after, Haruhiro tells Mary about Minato, who served as the group's healer, offense and leader. Haruhiro explains that it is hard for his party of leftovers to survive. Without a priest, he and the rest of the group welcome her as their friend Team Haruhiro slays goblins. Day after day, Ro and Mary slowly starts to interact more with the others. The group also learns new skills against the goblins. At night, Haruhiro has a vision of Minato and is proud of the way that the group has improved. Haruhiro stops counting the number of days in Grimgar while looking into the sky at a red full moon. Team Haruhiro resolves to not let any more friends die before continuing the hunt for more goblins. Having improved on their skills, the party decides to hunt a group of goblins who killed Minato in the abandoned building. Team Haruhiro has a tough battle against their clever opponents, each of them using their skills to kill the goblins. Haruhiro finds and kills the remaining goblin that previously stole his dagger and shot Mary with a bow and arrow, which brings up haunting memories about Minato after the party succeeds. They are able to earn enough money to buy their volunteer soldier badges. Shiro tearfully leaves a badge for the fallen Minato at his grave as it begins to snow. Haruhiro and Mary walk together as he mentions that there are wounds that not even the strongest magic can heal since she is grieving for the 3 members of her former party. Mary parts ways from Haruhiro. After being satisfied with talking to him about it, Team Haruhiro takes a day off for some rest and relaxation. Haruhiro and Maggie have bread for breakfast as they discuss how they and the others will spend their day off. Shiro feeds the doves at the bridge and shows appreciation. The Haruhiro for working together as they watch the sunrise. Haruhiro later has tea with Mary on a balcony of a women's apartment complex. Meanwhile, Randy goes fishing while witnessing rock climbing from a distance at night in Shelley's tavern. Kikuwa informs Haruhiro that there has been an increase in goblin population that Demuro. Haruhiro suggests to his group that they should change their hunting grounds to the Siren Mine, but they must avoid the savage kobold named Despots. A overwhelmed Mary excuses herself outside, and after Haruhiro catches up to her, she explains that her friends had died in that very place despite their misgivings. And Mary's obvious emotional baggage. They are determined to try it. During a training session with Barbara, Haruhiro asks her about the streaks of light that he has often seen while fighting, which seem to show him how and where to strike. Team Horror Hero reaches the Siren Mine, where the group defeats 3 lesser cobbles and claims talismans. Hung from the noses of the lesser cobbles as Team Horror works their way deeper into the caves, they defeat 2 normal cobbles, claiming more talismans at night in his bedroom. Horror Hero has doubts about being fit to be a leader, since Ranta has been acting rash towards the rest of the group when Horror Hero questions Ranta for his actions in the Siren Mine. Ranta responds with mentioning how he defeated an opponent on his own. Horror Hero says that Ranta is easily misunderstood during battle, but Ranta calls out Horror Hero for his weaknesses. The next day, Team Horror Hero returns to the Siren Mine where they defeat a normal kobold and an elder kobold. When Team Horror Hero reaches the farmland, Despots is spotted nearby. However, Ranta accidentally triggers a tripwire cowbell alarm. Mary starts to hyperventilate upon the sight of Despots. Mary has a dream of reuniting with her friends Mickey, AWG and Mutsumi as Horror Hero wakes up Mary. She leads Team Horror Hero away to safety since they would be at a disadvantage in the farmland as an open field. Team Horror Hero stops for a rest in the ruins of the temple where Mary had her traumatic experience in the past. The party's rest is interrupted by 3 undead. The reanimated corpse is of Mickey, AWG and Mutsumi, all of whose bodies were not cremated after death. The rest of the group manages to fend off the 3 undead long enough for Mary to purify them. Each horror hero discusses with his group about what they should work on as warriors. Their relief is short-lived, as Despot suddenly appears. Forcing them to flee, Team Horror Hero is chased through the caverns and narrowly manages to escape through a well, although Ranted is cut off and left behind to face Despots by himself. Ranta manages to escape from Despots through the well and eventually reunites with the others in the farmland. Team Horror Hero attempts to flee, only for Despots to block their path. After fending off Despots in the farmland, they seek rest in the caves. However, Despots finds them shortly after. Our hero decides to use his scarf to strangle Despots into a pit, giving the others a chance to retreat as he faces Despots. Horror Hero accepts his death, but is determined to fight until that moment. Horror Hero suddenly sees the streaks of light and proceeds to fight. He defeats Despots before losing consciousness. He wakes up fully healed at home thanks to the others returning for him. The others are overjoyed that Horror Hero is awake, as they now have to decide what they will do with the bounty of 30 gold coins that they have earned for killing Despots at Shelley's Tavern. Renji apologizes to Horror Hero for his actions in response for Minato's death. Horror Hero later visits Minato's grave, where the vision of Minato believes that Horror Hero has grown. As a leader, Paul Hero embraces his new memories with his friends and Grimgar.